Looks like something I would buy.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Gold Rush legend Tony Beats just made a discovery that could change everything.
Well, first impression, Kevin.
Well, it's definitely big.
Yeah, it was very well built.
Hidden deep in Nugget Creek, he stumbled upon an abandoned trommel.
Bring it up the hill, put it back together.
Should be easier than moving a dredge.
Absolutely.
Rusted, forgotten, but absolutely loaded with gold. But how did this trommel get there? Who abandoned it and why? More importantly, just how much gold are we talking about? A season of setbacks. In Gold Rush Season 13, things weren't going well for Tony, especially with his massive mining machines. The real trouble started when his main dredge, the Viking, broke down just weeks into operation. This was a machine he had poured nearly $1 million into, so you can imagine the frustration. Then came the real disaster. During one of their mining runs, the Viking unexpectedly caught fire. The flames tore through the 350-ton machine, leaving it badly damaged. The cameras caught everything, and while everyone was relieved there were no injuries, the fire was a massive setback. The team didn't waste time. They got straight to work on repairs. But it quickly became clear this wasn't going to be an easy fix. The damage was far worse than anyone had thought, and repairing it started to drain resources fast. With no quick solution in sight, he had to shelve the Viking for the time being and shift focus to other parts of the business. One of the main machines they turned to was Dredge Number 1, also known as the Clear Creek Dredge. But this wasn't without its own set of headaches, from replacing worn-out buckets to tackling costly, time-consuming repairs. The crew faced challenge after a challenge just to keep it running. Everyone knew this wasn't sustainable for long. Despite its issues, the dredge had impressive capacity with the potential to process massive amounts of material, and that meant the chance for big payouts. But relying on just this one machine wasn't enough to hit the ambitious targets. He needed another dependable dredge, and fast. Then things took another turn for the worse. One of his dredges sank not once but twice in just 6 weeks. Repairs were piling up, and even though the internal parts were in decent shape, the exterior damage was a different story. From busted rims to structural fixes, every corner turn seemed to add another $1,000 repair to the list. And the frustrating part? This wasn't just any dredge. Back in its prime in 1939, this machine had pulled out 1 million ounces of gold from the Klondike, worth a jaw-dropping $1.8 billion today. The legacy was there, but keeping it afloat in every sense was proving to be a monumental task. The dredge problems kept piling up. Sand was clogging its gates, water leaked into its pontoons, and it sank more than once. With setbacks like these, it was clear something had to change. That's when he stumbled across a surprising lead deep in the Yukon wilderness. An old abandoned mobile trommel hidden away in the forest. From setback to success, the trommel seemed like a shot at redemption. So he made the bold call to invest $400,000 into reviving this forgotten machine. It wasn't just desperation. Rising gold prices added some extra urgency to get production back on track after all the dredge troubles. This wasn't your average piece of equipment either. The 35-ton trommel, built 3 decades ago, was 40 feet long and sat on wheels, making it completely portable, unlike the stationary dredges. Even though it had only been used for 1 mining season before being left to rust, it was about to become his new workhorse. This thing was built for efficiency. It could scoop up dirt right from the dig site, sift through it, and spit out the waste on the other side. Then, when the job was done, it could roll on its 4 massive wheels to the next spot. That kind of mobility wasn't just convenient, it was a game changer. But the machine had been sitting abandoned for years. A technician gave it a quick once-over and said there was a chance it could still run, but it was far from a sure thing. Knowing he'd already sunk a big chunk of money into it, he had no choice but to give it a shot. Still, he was prepared for things to go south. He'd known about this trommel for years, and after endless back and forth with the owner, he finally got it at a price that made sense. Those sky-high demands from before? They'd been dropped after some serious negotiations. Now it was up to him to make this old machine earn its keep. The timing felt right, so he made the call to buy it. Simple plan: if the trommel worked, great. If not, well, he'd chalk it up as a loss and move on. But buying it was only half the battle. The real challenge, dragging this 35-ton beast out of the jungle and across a river. At Paradise Hill Camp, his team, led by Len, mapped out a plan to haul the trommel over 100 miles of rough mountain roads and trails. No easy task, especially since he had to hit pause on his regular operations, which cost him millions every single day. The job of actually moving the trommel fell to his youngest son, Mike, who took charge of the crew and the heavy equipment. The trickiest part? Getting the massive machine onto a ferry. Mike wasn't too worried about the weight. The ferry could handle that, but his truck was over 80 feet long, and squeezing it on board? That was the real gamble. If the ferry couldn't take them, their backup plan was a bridge. A whopping 175 miles in the opposite direction. That would mean a massive detour nobody wanted to take. First step, attach the D6 bulldozer to the frame and hope everything goes smoothly from there. To get the trommel moving, they had to get creative. First, the D6 bulldozer got hooked up to the frame, and then the 220 excavator was strapped in for extra muscle. As they geared up for the long haul, he cracked a joke about already burning through the first $1,000 without even realizing it. Everyone laughed, but they knew the real challenges were still ahead. Those rough trails weren't going to make this easy. The mission was clear. Get the massive trommel out of Moose Creek in just 3 days. Sounds simple, right? Not a chance. To make it work, he decided the best approach was to break it down piece by piece. First on the list was the conveyor, then the sluice box, and finally the 20-ton drum, all before the snow came rolling in. On day one, they managed to pull off a solid win by dismantling the conveyor. The team was making progress, and he decided to call it a night, feeling pretty good about their start. But while they were stuck in teardown mode, their competitors were still out there mining and pulling in more gold. Day two came, and it was time to tackle the sluice box. Cody Hunter stepped up and carefully separated it from the rest of the trommel structure, inching them closer to the finish line. With the conveyor and sluice box out of the way, the team turned their attention to the big one, the 20-ton drum. The plan? Straightforward on paper. First, remove the hydraulic supports, let the trommel rest on its wheels, then carefully lift the drum and slide it out. But someone had welded a steel plate to one of the trommel's legs to stabilize the frame and take pressure off the hydraulics. Kevin got the job of cutting through it, but as soon as he started, the trommel began tipping, almost crushing him in the process. And just when they thought it couldn't get any worse, another team member lost his footing and fell into the drum. Everyone froze for a second, then scrambled to regroup and get back to safety. That close call shook them, but the job wasn't done. Finally, they managed to load the drum onto a beast of a military tank transporter along with the other parts. But there was no time to celebrate. They had just 3 hours to make it to the highway before darkness hit, bringing unpredictable weather and an even rougher road ahead. The tension hit a whole new level when the truck started leaning dangerously, with its wheels actually lifting off the ground on one side. If that wasn't bad enough, they ran into thick mud that brought everything to a complete halt. Moving this beast was tough enough without a full-on mud trap slowing them down. Luckily, they had a strong backhoe loader on hand to pull the truck free and get things moving again. By the time evening rolled around, they finally made it back to camp. Exhausted but relieved, Beats gathered the team for a quick debrief and, as always, thanked everyone for their hard work. Of course, all this time spent hauling the trommel meant there was no gold coming in. His focus was completely on getting the machine back. But the payoff? Worth it. Over 3 intense days, every piece of the trommel was successfully transported back to camp, right on schedule. During their final gathering, Beats made a point to thank the crew for their determination and grit, knowing how much effort they'd poured into this massive job. It wasn't just about getting the trommel back. It was about the teamwork that made it happen. Rain, snow, freezing cold, you name it, they dealt with it. But even in those brutal conditions, the crew pushed through every obstacle. Beats didn't let that effort go unnoticed. He thanked everyone for their dedication, acknowledging the harsh weather they endured. With everything wrapped up, it was time to head out, or so they thought. Out of nowhere, a truck flipped over, with the driver still inside. While Beats and his team were dealing with their chaos over on Nessa's side, things weren't going much better. He'd set an ambitious goal of pulling in 1,000 ounces of gold, and his team had been working almost non-stop for weeks. But when they finally checked their progress, it was bad news. The pit they'd been digging in was completely empty. And then disaster struck. One of Ness's crew members, Cruz, had a terrifying accident. His 30-ton rock truck flipped while he was driving in the pit, leaving him trapped inside. The team was in a panic, especially being so far from proper medical help. Thankfully, Cruz got lucky. He wasn't seriously hurt. But the whole thing shook up the crew and added even more pressure to an already tough situation. Step one after Cruz's accident: flip that truck back over and get back to work. And believe it or not, just 2 hours after the crash, Cruz and his team were back at it like nothing happened. It had been a rough month, but Ness's crew managed to pull in 45 ounces of gold. And despite the setbacks, they were proud of what they accomplished. But let's talk about Beats and his decision to invest in the mobile trommel. On the surface, it might have seemed like a bad deal. 3 full days without mining, no gold coming in, and a ton of money spent. But for Beats, this wasn't just about short-term wins. Unlike his clunky old dredges, the trommel was easier to move, more reliable, and didn't need constant babysitting. Once up and running, it was set to streamline the entire gold extraction process. By betting on the trommel, Beats was looking to avoid downtime and keep production steady. A smart move in the long run. The real payoff? Efficiency. This machine could process massive amounts of material in less time, which meant more gold, faster. Instead of sticking to the slower, outdated methods, Beats decided to take a calculated risk and put all his energy into making the trommel his new workhorse. After all the struggles, there was finally some hope on the horizon. Tony Beats made a clear decision. Forget the distractions and put everything into getting the trommel up and running before winter set in. The trommel wasn't just about speed or efficiency, though those were big perks. Its real value came from how much it elevated the entire mining process. The trommel had one major advantage. It could process materials right where they were found. No need to haul mountains of dirt to a different site, and that saved Tony Beats a ton of time and money. Cutting down on transport costs gave him a serious edge, and the machine's reliability and efficiency made it much easier to hit his gold production targets. In a way, the trommel was like striking gold itself. It brought game-changing benefits that were crucial to Beats' success. And the icing on the cake was Tony finding $9 million worth of gold by the season's end. It was a perfect closure to all the trouble he went through during the season. So, what's next for Tony Beats? The thrill of the chase. Through his smart decisions, he hasn't just made gold mining more efficient, he's also tackled environmental and logistical headaches along the way. That's how he's managed to stay at the top in the ultra-competitive world of gold mining. One of his biggest wins? The Paradise Hill claim. This gold-rich site has been a steady source of income for years, adding a solid boost to his long-term earnings. Then there's Scribner Creek, a claim that became famous during the gold rush. Tony made the savvy move to rent it out to Parker Schnabel's crew, proving he's not just good at mining, but also at spotting opportunities and building partnerships. Tony's decades of experience have given him what feels like a sixth sense for finding the best spots to mine. He knows how to read the land, spotting signs of hidden gold that others might miss. But don't think he's just winging it. Far from it. Before committing to any claim, Tony does his homework, digging deep into research to make sure every investment counts. Tony doesn't leave things to chance. He digs into past data, runs test drills, and carefully evaluates how much gold a site could actually produce. This methodical approach ensures he only puts his money into locations that are likely to pay off big. But his strategy goes deeper than just picking good spots. By spreading his investments across multiple mining sites, Tony minimizes risk and keeps the gold flowing, even when the market takes a dip. It's a smart way to stay ahead in a business that's anything but predictable. What sets him apart even more is his willingness to adapt. Tony's always on the lookout for new mining methods and cutting-edge tech to make his operations more efficient. It's this mindset that's helped him get the most out of every claim he owns. Take the trommel, for example. What started as a risky purchase turned into a game-changer. It solved the headaches his old dredges were causing, saved his team a ton of time, and made their work easier. In the end, that one decision didn't just pay off. It boosted profits and streamlined the entire operation. But let's be real. Things don't always go according to plan. Even with years of experience and careful prep, mining can still throw some curveballs. And sometimes those surprises aren't about the land or the gold, but about human decisions. One incident, in particular, landed Tony in some hot water. Known for his strong personality and unconventional ways, Tony is a polarizing figure in the mining world. Some people love his no-nonsense approach, while others see it as a bit much. The controversy started when someone from his crew, with Tony's approval, poured gasoline into a dredge pond and set it on fire. Maybe it was supposed to be a joke, but it quickly spiraled into something serious. The flames were caught on camera for Gold Rush, and the scene didn't sit well with everyone watching. One viewer took action, reporting the incident to Yukon mining authorities. According to Yukon News, Tony, his company Tamarack Inc., and the crew member involved ended up in legal trouble. What started as a risky stunt turned into a situation no one could ignore. The incident with the dredge fire ended up violating the Yukon Waters Act because it introduced pollutants to a regulated water source. Tony owned up to it, admitting in an interview with CBC that he should have stepped in to stop it before things got out of hand. He took the fine and legal consequences on the chin, agreeing that the joke had gone way too far. The fine? $31,000. While that might not make a dent in Tony's wallet, it didn't stop people from calling him out. Criticism came rolling in, adding to the already strong opinions viewers have about his leadership style and blunt way of talking. On Gold Rush, Tony's tough-as-nails demeanor often sparks debate. He's known for his no-filter approach, and some fans think his leadership can be a little too intense. One example? When equipment breaks down. In one episode, Tony let loose on his son Kevin for not properly maintaining a machine, pointing out how much time and money these mistakes cost. Not everyone agreed with how he handled it. Some viewers felt he was way too harsh, while others thought it was just tough love and part of running a high-stakes operation. While his approach does push his crew to deliver their best, it can also crank up the stress levels. That tension sometimes makes it tough to keep morale high, but there's more to Tony's intensity than just his personality. He's dealing with massive stakes. Take the $1,400,000 custom-built excavator he bought, for example. With that kind of investment on the line, there's no room for errors. Everyone on the team feels the pressure to keep things running smoothly. And when something goes wrong, the weight of it hits hard. But here's the thing. Tony didn't always live this high-stakes life. He didn't grow up rich or surrounded by gold. He was raised on a farm in Holland, spending his days milking cows. In 1984, he made the bold move to Dawson City, Canada, to try his luck in mining. Before landing in the Yukon, Tony lived in Alberta and British Columbia, drawn by the chance to earn $1,000 a week, a huge opportunity at the time. Tony started at the bottom, operating machines, and worked his way up to managing major mining claims. Now he's even leasing land to newcomers trying to break into the industry. Sure, there are millions of dollars in gold flowing through his operations, but it's not just about the money for Tony. For him, it's about the chase. He sees himself and his crew as modern-day gold hunters, using cutting-edge tools to uncover massive finds. It's the challenge, the thrill, and the love of mining that keep him coming back season after season. If you had the chance, would you take the risk and dive into gold mining? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button for more.